Lots of people probably think that banking is just a numbers game, that it's about money, minutes, objects, all to be counted, recounted, and audited. We know about numbers. We know that a number is never just a number, not when you have the power to make a difference.
Autism is not preventable. It is a very complex, challenging, lifelong brain disorder. It affects the way a child communicates. It affects their sensory system. And of course, all that affects behaviors.
My son Kendall is 14 years old, and living with a kid with autism is very challenging. When we first found out, we found that as a small child, we knew something was wrong and different with him. There was no speech. He would rock. He didn't have eye contact. He didn't want to be held.
We found out that many children that were diagnosed with this condition were in the mental hospital. There was no support at all for families who just learned that their child had autism.
Schools are not ready for our children. He was supposed to move up to standard 1, and the teacher refused him and said, I didn't have made the decision to enroll this child in the school, so whoever did, let them be responsible.
There are thousands of children or young persons with autism who are not diagnosed in our country. For our population of 1.3 million, we may have over 10,000 children with autism spectrum disorders.
There are many of the residents who thank God that they're here. They're only happy. Some of their own families do appreciate what we do for them. Some of our residents cannot climb the stairs. We approached the public bank and they readily assisted us. They came to our help by allowing us to have an elevator now that our residents can now go upstairs and downstairs. For the staff, when you have to bring their meals, we don't now have to come up with 2 dishes, but we can now use the trolley and use the elevator to assist us. Lives have been changed.
My concern about what we might call gangs would be how our children and our young people are vulnerable if they do not have alternatives. The work of organizations like ours and other organizations in our country would be to provide alternatives that they can relate to and that make sense to their situations. Working with people so that they have a sense that the solutions also belong to them, that they don't come from outside of the community, but that they are part of what happens next. That thing about doing it with them, that WITH is awfully important. There's certain pillars or some benchmarks that you would talk about for transformation and empowerment of communities, strengthening family life, working with young people, building leadership, working with conflict resolution and mediation. We will continue to work in communities like Gonzales. Our primary project is here now. But 5 years from now, it will be wonderful if what we're doing in this space and in this community is run by the people themselves.
We walk for the support of the people who have lost their lives and the people who are survivors. For instance, we have a little girl who had cancer of the spine going to her heart. Now, when you're 18 months with that disease, it's very frightening, and the parents obviously can't work. The mother stayed at home. The father was a farmer. Every time he came up to do chemo, they stole his crops. So we helped.
It's a problem to get volunteers to come in, people to come and mix with the children, and so help them to deal with social issues. And we have children from homes where they do have parents, some from very disadvantaged backgrounds. Some would have been from backgrounds of abuse. And a lot of the times, all that they really need is somebody to mentor them, somebody to come forward and be able to show them that things are possible, that they can dream big, that they can hope to be, somebody one day. On a daily basis, we see the kindness and the generosity and the good side of human nature. People coming forward, giving up their time and their selves, their finances and so on, all with the single hope of trying to better the lives of the children.
You see the sunrise, you see the full moon, you have to see to drive, you watch TV, so you would definitely understand why sight will be perceived as the most important one. We help you adjust to blindness. We teach you to cook again, despite being blind. We teach you to sweep and to clean and all the daily living skills. We teach you computer literacy. We don't just deal with persons who are blind, but we deal with persons who are associated with those who are blind. The family, the friends, help them to adjust to blindness, help them to believe in their family member and their friend or their husband or wife again. Now a blind person is able to go in and vote on their own. Now you have persons who are visually impaired operating the computers and doing very well and going back to school and doing their degrees and everything you would need to not just survive in this world, but to thrive.
Travel to Europe and then land in Piaco. Travel in Europe for 2 weeks and then land in Piaco, and you'll say, where am I? Where did all these fat people come from? Obesity is driving the diabetes epidemic, and many diabetics are unaware that they have diabetes. In Trinidad, we are seeing children with the type of diabetes that your grandparents should be getting, 70 and 80-year-olds. So in other words, our kids are growing old quickly. And the youngest kid I've seen with adult form diabetes is 5-year-old. The interventions must come now. We must sensitize, we must test, we must predict, we must diagnose, and we must treat.
This program was geared toward changing the whole face of the steel pan performer. And so the children who play the steel pan now will be able to read music as well as take a score anytime and perform that piece of music. I would like to see all children doing something other than pure academics that would develop more of their brain and the person. You must be disciplined to do music, so it helps to have a more disciplined person.
The Republic Youth Cup football is, in my opinion, the best rescue plan that could ever have been conceived in this country. When you look at the amount of fallout there has been of youngsters just going off the radar and going down the wrong tracks, and you have an event like this that accommodates 240 teams a year, for 16 years you have rescued and saved a lot of lives.
So you see, there are numbers, and they can be counted. But it's not just a numbers game, because what you just can't count, recount, or audit, what you can't exactly measure, is the difference. Take the number and double it, square it, multiply it to the power of... We're bankers, and we know a lot about numbers, and we know that we have the power to make a difference.